Welcome back to the show. The Times this morning has a big one. 2018-2019 academic year, government to spend 1.4 billion cedis on free senior high school as double track system takes off September. The photograph of the education minister is on the front page. The BNFT, Saken Boache Jako, not enough. Civil society organizations talking here. That's the big one. Daily Graphic has the senior high school story, as well as the special prosecutor exposes Mahama Ayariga over vehicle investigations, and the finder 1,350 get 50 million Ghana cedi support. Beneficiaries receive between 10,000 and 100,000 to start businesses. Those are some of the stories. But Men's Gold, cause of the bluff of Bank of Ghana, it's also captured on the front page of the Finder. My guest this morning, Member of Parliament for the Tamale North constituency, a member of the NDC, Honorable Alaji Suyin is here. Good morning.
Good morning, boss.
Hope you're doing great.
I'm terrific, alhamdulillah.
Thanks for joining us. And then the Member of Parliament for Inswom Adrejiri, Honorable Frank Anodon Press, also here. Good morning too.
Member, good to see you. I'm good. And you?
Good too. Thanks for coming. Now, this one, quickly, let's start with the energy minister issue, because former energy minister issue. Civil society group, that's from the BNFT, have called on President Akufo-Addo to go beyond sacking the energy minister and deal ruthlessly with other individuals and organizations that worked with him to formulate the innovation and renegotiated a merry deal. Now, these are the Institute for Energy Security, the Institute of Public Policy Research, and the suggestion is that the minister did not work alone and therefore must not be the only one to be dealt with. The Honorable Minister, in addition to his 3 deputies, worked with a 7-member committee comprising reps from PURC, the Minister of Finance, VRA, and the Attorney General, who recommended innovation amendment agreement to the minister, who in turn forwarded it to the president. So the Institute of Energy Security names Dr. Mohammed Amin Adam Anta in charge of petroleum, William Urekudu in charge of power, and Joseph Kujo in charge of finance and infrastructure. And so all these persons took part in getting the final figure, so the president must deal with them too. What about them? The call to get others involved, right? Wrong?
Well, first of all, I think that ever since this matter broke, I am one of the people who have felt that yes, indeed, our president can be very resolute when he wants to be resolute, especially where there's evidence that certain decisions, however unpopular they may seem, he could still take these decisions. So clearly, he demonstrated a certain resoluteness that is admirable. I'm talking about the president. Now, beyond the sacking, we had civil society groups also saying that it has to go beyond Mr. Boache Jako. It's quite sad, though. I must say that Mr. Boache Jako I know very well. Since 2008, I got to know him. Even before he came to Ghana, when he was at the Bank of New York, he used to correspond and write for the statements. He's one of our key party, Danko Buzia tradition party people that I have a lot of respect for, very knowledgeable and all that. But I doff my cap to the president because he's also a personal friend. I know on record that he's a personal friend to the president. For the president to have the confidence to do what he did,
remove him,
it was it's news to me, I must say, and it also tells me that yes, this is a man that the president I have known for more than a decade. Is a very resolute person. If he wants to do something, he goes about to do it. But the call, I don't know how justified it is, but on the face value of it, I think that they have some grounds, because it definitely it wasn't done by just an individual. But there are other sides to that coin too, because if you say that because it's a team, then probably one would say that probably the whole ministry should be collapsed, because the bus would have to stop at somebody's end. And unfortunately, it stopped at one of the people I admired so much, Mr. Boakye Ejiakor. He took the finality of the decision. And so I'm not too sure if we have to go beyond and extend it to his deputies and other people from other institutions, parasitic institutions who were involved. I'm not too sure if that call is well placed. What is important, in my view, is that the president has made one of the most critical and important decisions. We all know matters relative to this Ameri deal, how what we said then when we were in opposition, that we were going to renegotiate it, and there was a lot of corruption, associated with it. And indeed, we're justified to have said that. So we come to office, and then, we are not able to do what we said we were going to do, and eventually the state stands to lose more in terms of revenue or funds. It's just fair that the president has to do what he did. And then going forward, let's also ensure that Ameri will not take this country for granted, and that the country will not lose, scarce funds unjustifiably. So, all put in context, I don't not subscribe to the call that the deputy should go with him. I don't agree with him. I don't agree to those who are making that call. But I think that going forward, a certain picture has been created, and appointees, all government appointees, will have to take a cue in this. And then we also realize that we have a certain common assignment to service to humanity and service to the mother Ghana. Anything that will be contrary to this call to serve Ghana and to save this country, the meager resources that we have, one has to be very careful, because now the axe can fall anywhere, and that picture has been created clearly by the president. And I doff my cap to the president, having had the boldness and the confidence to do what he has done. The Institute of Energy Security is suggesting that it would be very surprised if any of the three ministers become the substantive minister, or perhaps they are pushed somewhere else. Would you be surprised? Well, what I know is that the president is somebody who listens. I've known him for some years back, and then he will not do anything that would undermine the authority and the freedom that people should exercise in pursuit of the business of the ministry. So the president will do what he has to do and what will be right. He himself is a very experienced politician, and not surprising, when Mr. Boakye Ejiakor was shown the exit, he didn't ask any of his deputies. Ordinarily, he would have asked any of his deputies to act instead, but he rather, asked Mr. Peter Mbe, who is of a significantly different ministry, to come and act. So I think it's early days yet. Let's not jump the gun. Let's respect the decision of the president. Right. But, off record, my brother was saying, he was talking about whether Mr. Boakye Ejiakor is going to come out and, start a crusade.
Well, he himself has said it on his Facebook wall that when the dust settles, my side of the story would be heard.
Well, that can be interpreted to mean a lot.
Okay.
It doesn't mean he's going to...
It's a huge statement, very deep.
It is deep-seated, but I know Mr. Boakye Ejiakor has matured, and who he is, he's not going to do anything, unjustifiably do anything that will put the name of the presidency and the government that he loves so much into jeopardy. I think that the decision is one I respect, and Ghanaians, if you talk to most people on the street, most Ghanaians are happy that the decision has been made, that somebody has to go, and not just the sacking. It's not, for me, it's not just the sacking. I mean, if Mr. Boakye Ejiakor goes and the Ameri deal still stands and the Ghana loses the money, that is the crux of the matter. In my view, that is the crux of the matter. The president is not just sacking Mr. Boakye Ejiakor. He showed Mr. Ejiakor the exit, particularly also focus on ensuring that we get value for money. And what was perpetuated before, we don't see a repeat of it. For me, that is the point that is admirable, and that's where Ghanaians are much excited about. And now, the expectation from Ghanaians, the bar has been raised. I think that if we cast our mind back, and here I don't want to be political, there were things that happened in the previous administration. They say, okay, well, we're going to investigate, and nothing happened. I'm happy that the president has the confidence to show Mr. Boakye Ejiakor the exit, and for us to, pursue this Ameri deal once and for all and get value for money. That is much more important to us.
Right. Member of Parliament for Nsuima Drojiri there on the call by civil society to get more people perhaps involved in the deal to go. Honorable Suhini, the cause, right or wrong?
Well, let me say good morning to my colleague, good morning to you, and to our viewers. Thank you for the opportunity to be here. I think it's a call in the right direction. I do not think that Mr. Boakye Agyarko acted alone, and I'm sure that many people share that same view. He couldn't have, Somoto, entered into that negotiation and, conclude everything without the support or involvement or the advice of other people in the government. And so I share that call that perhaps we should go beyond Mr. Boakye Agyarko and look at other people who may have played a role leading up to the presentation of the very terrible renegotiated, deal before Parliament. And for me, for example, the President's Secretary, Asante Bediatu, signed executive, approval in the name of the President. Is the President comfortable that such an authority was given? Based on what advice did the President give his consent or not? Because it can, perhaps investigation can reveal that the Secretary did not even seek the President's opinion when he was given the executive authority. It could also be that he did, and based on advice that he gave the President gave the authority. So the number of people who can be said to have played a part in what has now been termed the misleading episode. Description. I just more than Mr. Boakye Agyarko. So I think that it should go beyond Mr. Boakye Agyarko. And again, my brother, like many of the NPP communicators, are so quick to describe the President's action as admirable.
Yeah, he said it's resolute.
I mean, really, what is significant about what has happened, given the promise of the NPP and Nana Akufo-Addo when he was campaigning, the kind of governance he promised to give? What really is different? What, because you see...
What is not different?
I'll tell you what is not different. What is not different is that a DCE who bragged about his status before his people was sacked.
Who's the chair? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, he was sacked by the President. Nothing, threatening the economy of Ghana, nothing. He didn't do anything, no stealing, nothing. He just bragged. He was sacked. A deputy minister was engaged in what can be termed as wishful thinking.
I want to make $1 million before
I want to make $1 million before I retire. Just wishful thinking. Nothing, no move, no meeting held that the taxpayer paid for in this rate negotiation. Remember that happened. He just wishful thinking. He was sacked by the one who appointed him. And remember, that minister at the time was said to be very close to the President. Even very illicit suggestions were made about the kind of relationship he had with the President. He sacked her. Mr. Abu Gapele is a leading member of the NDC. He had a relationship, in fact, a very good relationship with the sitting president then. It didn't insulate him from prosecution, and currently he's in jail, sadly. Madam Jifativo went home. So, really, based on the kind of governance Nana Akufo-Addo promised us, how is this admirable? Because what will be admirable is something that hasn't happened before. Something that is better than what was criticized. But if it is much of the same or similar, then have we gone or have we come? So let us not kid ourselves in the attempt to portray and present the President as one who is, different and resolute. if that is the case, then there was no need bringing him on. We had a better one. We had a better one, if that is the yardstick. And you see, you just read the headlines. You spoke about Mr. Martin Amidu and what he is currently saying. How did Mr. Martin Amidu become a crusader? He was sacked by the NDC president, Professor Mills. He was sacked. So it is not new for people to be sacked for, engaging in one thing or the other that the president at the time finds unacceptable. What will be unique is when we go beyond what we already know have happened in our governance system. That is why I am hoping, right, that Mr. Boakye Agyarko will have the, sorry, it's too early in the morning, so I won't use that. We'll have the guts.
I'll come to you first.
Please. We'll have the guts. I hope he will have the guts of Mr. Martin Amidu to also become a crusader, because he says that he will tell his side of the story. And we all know that he has been sacrificed. In fact, the information is that he was asked to resign. And he said he did nothing wrong. And so he will not resign. Just like Martin Amidu. I hope that he will not be told not to be reckless. Because if that happens, then we will be saying that Martin Amidu was reckless. But if we celebrated what Martin Amidu did, let's encourage Boakye Agyarko to also speak his truth. And tell us all those who are involved. It is my hope and my prayer. But you see, I am not too confident that it will happen. Because I believe it is only a party like the NDC that nurtures the kind of Martin Amidus. A party like the MPP will always put the party interest first over the interests of Ghana. So I'm not too confident, but I am hoping that he will have the guts that Martin Amidu had to also tell us the full story about this American.
Let me go number
and also become a crusader. Am I done already? I told that.
No, I'll come back to you. I want him to react to,
because it's a discussion.
No, but you were on and on and on until I just. That is all right.
I'll come back.
You see, what I didn't put in context, and I may have to put things in context for him to appreciate. I'm saying that the president appoints Mr. Martin Amidu, somebody who is against our tradition, okay, nominates him as a special prosecutor, and they're on record to have opposed that.
I am.
Oppose him.
Yeah.
And if you say you won't admire a president who proposes somebody who is against his tradition to occupy such a sensitive position as the special prosecutor, it only tells me the president, how resolute the president is in pursuit of corrupt cases. That is clear. And that one, you can't take it away from the president. I mean, and you see, he wisely, selectively picked a few cases that happened year 10.
He's talking about dismissals by presidents.
Let's broaden the scope. And I'm happy they are saying that we should go beyond Boakye Agyarko. You should have asked him. During their 10, did they do that? They never did that. And you don't broaden the scope just merely because, I mean, if
dismissed people.
Abuga Pele didn't do it alone.
You promised to do what
Abuga Pele didn't do it alone.
Did you promise
so at that time,
that you would do what
in context, probably would have gone beyond Abuga Pele as well. You see, this call about going beyond Boakye Agyarko, in my view, is ill-placed.
Is this question...
It's ill-placed because...
Is this question legitimate?
Right, it's ill-placed because, you see, there's something we say that authority. He is the head of the ministry. He takes decision on behalf of the presidents. He takes decision on behalf of the ministry. If you take such an insignificant decision, the bars will only stop at your door. And for me, in context, what the president did, I perfectly agree with him. Unless, of course, they present a significant evidence, corroborating evidence, then we'll say that, well, we may have to broaden the scope. But you see, the point I really want to make is that the president is charting a path of fighting corruption. And for me, it's significantly different from what President Mahama did.
How?
Because the World Cup, what happened after the World Cup? I mean, what happened after the World Cup? There were key personalities, Ankra and Co.
was taken off,
who were very close to the president. And this former MP, my good friend, Adenta MP, Their position they were just changed. They were moved from where they were to just the presidency. Have you seen this happening here?
Is this different from this?
This is significantly different. People are being sacked. People are being asked to, for instance, people are being asked to exit office for investigation to be conducted. People are being sacked. If key people like Boakye Jaku have been sacked, I think that we just have to admire the president. Now again, if somebody says that, as our good friends will always do, Mr. Boakye Jaku was asked to resign, and then he says that I'm not doing anything wrong. There is nothing on record like that. And I'll plead with my brother, if he has any evidence, he should show there's nothing like that. Mr. Boakye Jaku was sacked based on evidence that, in fact, he didn't conduct himself well.
Let me ask you.
In context of this Ameri deal.
Let me ask you this. In the spirit of the president's commitment to fight corruption, and of which we know that being transparent is one of the ways out, should he, even though he's not mandated to tell us why he sacked him, should he tell us what he did wrong?
Well, for me, I don't think that we have to change our body politics and change. The president has the mandate, and we need to respect that sanctity.
I thought he was just responding
for him to say that. Well, no,
I'll get that.
He has, based on these reasons, I think that you have to sit aside. It is not always that the person has done something wrong. Sometimes even misconducting yourself, not behaving appropriately, can lead to you being shown the door. So I think that we have to respect, because it is not just a sacking, as I earlier intimated. It is also ensuring that we get value for money, especially with this Ameri deal that they had brought home. You brought these things home, and we have promised to sanitize.
To cancel it. You have not done it.
No, it's just not the cancellation. Okay. We said that we're going to review it. We are still, work is in motion. We are still in the process of reviewing the Ameri deal. That is why a listening government, as the MPP government is. When we picked up signals that things were not well, when we picked up signals that the Boakye Jaku, however close he is to the president, he is going contrary to what we said, we have done the needful by showing him the exit to get the way clear, to ensure that ultimately we get value for money for the Ameri deal. And for me, it's admirable. They brought us home. They sit and they're just throwing in pebbles and saying that, well, they cannot do it. But for this decision alone,
the president should be admired.
Yes.
If
you know how close, and
that's
the ties he has with the president.
I think that we have to be very candid and honest with the people of Ghana, especially those who are viewing us now. Yes, the NDC under President Mahama brought the Ameri home, and we are so proud, because you see, when we brought it home, it resolved a power crisis that we inherited. Everyone knows that under President Kufuor we had Dumso. Under President Mills we had Dumso. Today, under Nana Akufo-Addo, we don't have Dumso, thanks to President Mahama bringing Ameri and others home. And so we are proud that we brought it home. But it is sad that they deceived the people of Ghana about their, deal, and whipped President Mahama with it, and made promises that they will cancel, they will renegotiate, and review. As we speak, the authoritative document to point to is an advice by the Attorney General of Nana Akufo-Addo and of Ghana. In that report, clearly it is stated that no wrongdoing whatsoever took place in the Ameri deal. That nothing. And if they say it is fraudulent, they have a lot of lawyers. Fraud, they say, vitiates everything. Once there is fraud detected in any deal, you cancel. So why are they renegotiating if there's fraud? Why are they still on the line of deceiving the people, when clearly the Attorney General, has written to say that no wrongdoing took place? But you see, the difference, right, is that perhaps if the MPP were to start the negotiation, Ghana would have been paying 1 billion and not 510. That is what it tells us today. Because you see, Boakye Jaku was their best expert in energy. in opposition. He was their best. And this is the best deal he brought, as against the NDC's deal. So it tells you that maybe if President Akufo-Addo was the president, when John Mahama was, and took Boche Ejako to go and negotiate, this is the deal we would have had as Ghanaians, as compared to what President Mahama brought.
And he would have been sacked.
But you see, he talks about me being selective in cases. Does he want us to look at all corrupt cases? If he wants us to, we can. The NLA, the BOST, the other issues that have all been left unattended to, and civil society organizations are still worried about it. And he points to World Cup. Right. The World Cup Commission report is there for anybody who cares to read. I want him to point to anywhere in that report where Elvis Afriankra was cited for wrongdoing, was culpable, and was supposed to be sanctioned. Nowhere in that report did it say that if Elvis Afriankra should be sanctioned. You see, the only thing that made the president at the time to even move him from that ministry was because of public concern. The fact that when the people viewed and thought that maybe there were some judgment lapses, but not enough to break a law. There may have been judgment lapses, but those judgment lapses did not lead to the breaking of any law. So according to the experts at the commission, he could not be charged for any wrongdoing. But a president who was sensitive and listened to public opinion thought that it would be an insult to the people to still allow him at the ministry. Okay. Now, Bright, just compare that to what happened with the Commonwealth Games. Just compare that to what happened with the Commonwealth Games. Their issue is that the minister was moved from the ministry and made a presidential, presidential staff. I mean, reduced. He was demoted. He was demoted, and that's their issue. Look at the Commonwealth Games. As we speak, nobody knows who engaged in the visa racketeering. The minister was suspended, reinstated.
The deputy.
Reinstated, not demoted, reinstated. Okay. And you don't feel shy to even talk about the World Cup and the fact that there was no wrongdoing established, yet the president who was sensitive moved the person from that ministry.
Thank you.
You have reinstated the minister who is said to have played a role in that visa racketeering that took place at the just ended Commonwealth Games. And yet these are the people who promise us better governance. That is the insulting part of it too. You see, they promise to do better. So it becomes ridiculous when they even make that comparisons that they can't even win. It's ridiculous.
All right. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, the other issues to take a look at. Stay there.
I'll have to pick one.
Welcome back. And Honorable Don Preso, quick reaction to some of the issues.
My colleague mentioned a letter, a paper.
The Aegis letter.
Yes, the supposed Aegis letter.
It's not there?
No, I'm challenging him. Okay. He's a member of parliament and a very respected one, of course. He should produce that letter. I've met many of NDC communicators, and very typical of them. They will allege A to Z. There is no letter of such purpose. So if there is any, he should produce it. Now, on the Commonwealth Games, let's put on record that the deputy minister was asked to step aside. Board chairman, a few others who were involved were asked to step aside for investigation to be conducted. Is that true or not? That is true.
That's true.
That is true. What could we have done otherwise? Now, if he talks about sensitivity and the President Mahama listening to the public, it's the same president who has said that he will exercise a dead goose syndrome at any point in time. You cannot compare that to the President Nadu, who listens to the public and acts according to views of the public. So we have to put matters in context. I am saying that the fight against corruption, apart from systems and processes that we need, the president's attitude and demeanor is very, very critical. And I'm saying that, take it or leave it, the appointment of Martin Amidu is one of your own. It's a significant development that needs to be celebrated. Now, on Boache Ejako, whether he will have the balls to come out and speak, Boache Ejako will not come out to speak where there is nothing to be spoken about. And he will not come to rock the boat unnecessarily. So if our brothers are hoping that Mr. Boache Ejako is going to behave in a certain manner, that is not going to happen.
Okay.
I know that as responsible as he is, he will speak at the right time, but he will not come to just be dramatic just for the sake of it.
Is it legitimate to ask that, as of today, would not know who was involved in the visa racketeering thing? Is it legitimate to ask who was involved?
It's right. We also need to be patient with processes. And first of all,
so investigations are on.
Let's ask some fundamental questions, right? Were there investigations conducted?
There were.
There were investigations conducted. Do you have any evidence different from what the presidency has? We must all support the fight against corruption. If notwithstanding all the strength, all the accoutrements, all the all the things that the presidency had, it's possible that it may be eluded. Some facts may elude the presidency. So if, especially the minority, if you have these facts, produce them.
Okay.
Other than always alleging and holding press conferences, and which will not, lead to, for want of a better word, a very meaningful conclusion. These will have been asked to step aside. Investigations were conducted.
And they are back in office now.
If you are being, if people allege corruption, it doesn't mean there is corruption.
Okay.
You see, there are two distinct issues. So the corruption was alleged. Investigations were conducted. They were not found to be guilty. They were asked to go. I think ordinarily, these are the things we should support and encourage in our body.
That's why I asked that. Is it not right for us to know that these persons who were asked to step aside played no role in this whole thing, but these were the people who did it?
No,
so that the public perception. I mean, it is clear that some people did something wrong because people who were not supposed to be there were there, so something went wrong.
You see,
would not be fine for us to know that this is what happened, these are the persons?
It's a very fair expectation for anybody. Now, I'm saying that the president has spoken to it. The three key people who were sort of suspects, the president has spoken to what happened, and he has said that they have not found any corroborating evidence against them. Okay. But you are saying that if they are not involved, probably there are other people which I don't have evidence to, which the president that hasn't got that evidence.
It creates that impression in the minds of people that if I cleared them, then what happened? Yeah. Nothing happened.
But if there are no evidence to prosecute, you don't prosecute for the sake of it.
Right. I find.
But I've challenged him. Yeah, they should produce a letter.
Yes, I will.
I hope you produce it now.
I will. No, I will. You see, I find it very interesting that my brother says that alleging corruption does not mean there's corruption. Yet, he is the same person who sits here and he tells us that Elvis Afriyankra was corrupt. Now, the commission's report showed that he wasn't. He may have had some judgment lapses, but it never indicted him. But he holds on. He sits here again and he tells us that Ameri was corrupt. Yet, 18 months in government, all the committees that they have set up, the reviews, have proven that there was no corruption, but he holds on to it. But when it comes to the Commonwealth Games, he wants us to take it that, if people allege corruption, it doesn't really mean there was corruption.
Of course,
but they have been alleging corruption from opposition till today. They haven't been able to prove it, yet they hold on to it.
But we are reviewing
simply classical propaganda.
No,
but then he challenges me. Right, I have the letter here. Can you see? Republic of Ghana. I'm unable to Republic of Ghana. Listen, it is.
Honorable Senior, I'm unable to trust this one.
Right, it's 27th November 2017.
In this time of technology.
Honorable Boache Jaku, the Ministry of Energy, Ministry Zakra, dear colleague, that was a letter from AG to the Ministry of Energy. Request for legal advice on government decision to suspend monthly payments to Africa and Middle East Resources Investment Group, LLC, Ameri. The letter is here.
I take it with a pinch of
salt.
Now,
the interesting part of the letter, is that, quote, for the government of Ghana to extricate itself from the highly unfavorable BOT agreement without paying damages and or penalties to Ameri, there's a need to demonstrate that the agreement was procured by illegal means, either through fraud or corruption or in breach of the PPA. However, for government of Ghana to make such claims, it is imperative to gather sufficient relevant evidence to establish whether or not the BOT agreement is tainted by fraud or corruption. And she goes on to say that per all the investigations that have been conducted, they see none. So whether it is favorable agreement or it is not a favorable agreement remains an opinion. It remains an opinion. you can say that, oh, I think it is not favorable. We could have had a better deal. You can say it's not a good deal.
Civil society says it's not a good deal.
That is an opinion expressed. But to impugn corrupt motives, to say that it was fraudulent, you need to provide the evidence. And there's none. You see, anybody like Boakye Agyarko has done can go into an agreement and bring a bad deal. But but it doesn't mean the person did procure the bad deal through corrupt means. Do you understand? But like Boakye Agyarko has done.
Let's move on.
Maybe let me wrap up on that. Like Boakye Agyarko has done, it is clear that the NDC, even if this deal was bad, brought a better one than they would have brought, given what Boakye Agyarko, with support from other government officials who are now running away, brought for the people of Ghana.
I'm grateful. Graphic page, Daily Graphic, page 16, special prosecutor exposes Bahama. Exposes in court Mahama Yargo over vehicle investigation. Now, the special prosecutor has revealed alleged attempts by MP for Boku Central to stop investigations into suspected commission of corruption and corruption-related cases. According to Ms. Amidu, the Boku Central MP is sending pastors and chiefs to maybe disrupt. I'm trying to pick the exact words of the newspaper. Investigations into alleged importation of certain vehicles. Honorable Dumpret, now, this is from the special prosecutor, and he says this is what is happening.
Well, first of all, I think that, let me start from a certain anticipated view from the minority. I hope that they will celebrate Mr. Martin Amidu. This is coming from the Martin Amidu that we all know. It's not coming from the MPP or any personality in the MPP. I heard this and it struck me. And I know Mr. Martin Amidu, who he is, he doesn't just speak, so it was very surprising until, the graphic has picked it up this morning. One of the things that is fighting against us as a nation in our pursuit of corrupt cases is this tendencies and attitude. The usage, unduly using pastors, elders in society to go and plead on your behalf, where you have after committal of such, crimes. I am surprised to hear this. I'm here to hear my colleague, my very good friend, Mr. Ayariga, responding to this. I think interesting times are ahead of us. And I hope that, it will not impede, or Mr. Martin Amidu will not heed to these, if there is any, these calls on his door to listen to traditional leaders or, pastors and what have you. He would have to do his job. And for him to have come out to even let the public know, it tells me that indeed he's not going to pay heed to it. I think my brother or colleague would have to respond to this allegation. It's a very serious one, and concerning a member of parliament, it is not something that we should play with. He would have to come and respond. And I am saying that, especially the call by the minority, that Mr. Amidu is like a tiger that we are holding on to his tail. The president is holding on to his tail. He's not going to be allowed to work. The president is resourcing Mr. Martin Amidu. All the resources that is due that office, it will be given to that office for them to prosecute the corruption cases that are. And happily, he's beginning to, find his rhythm, and I hope that he will start work as soon as possible. But I am surprised at the turn of events. And if it turns out to be true, it will be too bad for our colleague. I know him very well. I'm with him on the subsidiary legislation committee. I'm surprised this thing is being said about him. It is most unfortunate, and I expect him to come immediately and respond to these allegations against him.
I'm grateful. Honorable Suhuyini, that's the special prosecutors complain. Friends, colleagues, chiefs, and men of God being brought in to stop him from or obstruct his investigations.
I'm sure that my views and thoughts about Martin Amidu and how he operates is not a secret. I just feel that is one of those games. I mean, first of all, it is important to establish that if the Daily Guide and the communication team of the MPP thinks that they can use this Martin Amidu case.
This is graphic.
Of course, but the graphic plays propaganda with the NPP all the time. You think we don't know? Of course, we have said. I have said it
on Daily Guide.
I have said it.
Look,
right. Maybe just to put it on record, even when the NDC was in government, I am on record to have accused the graphic of playing propaganda against the government.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
So it's and any casual observer knows that some people at the graphic are not using the graphic well. So I'm just saying the Daily Guide and the MPP communication team, and some of them at the graphic, will not use, if they think they are going to use this to divert attention from the stinking Ameri deal and several other, fraudulent, transactions that are going on, they should think again, because it's not going to wash. The people of Ghana will continue to find out if people are hanging puppies and leaving dogs. If the dogs are part of those hanging the puppies. Because, I mean, really, Bright, read the story. What is in it?
Well, he said people are coming to him.
So what? Is there any law that says that if people come to you,
you cannot
do your work? So what? I mean, so people are coming. You see, he's once again personalize it to stand as that Tarzan and hero. What is that? Go ahead.
Your suggestion is that even if men of God are coming,
yes, I'm saying that granted that people are, I don't know if it is true, but granted that people are going to him. So what? So should the people of Ghana should do what? What he has been appointed to do is not to listen to people, but to apply the law. So why is he coming to tell us, we should do what? I mean, I'm saying that for maybe him, it is another way of running into town and getting praise but that is not what will earn him the praise. He must do the job that he has been appointed to do and stop talking. And when he is even doing the job, he should not be blinded in one eye. 600,000 worth of fertilizer has gone missing. 600,000 Ghana worth of fertilizer, we are told, has gone missing. Ameri is all over the place. He just doesn't seem to care about some wrongdoings. And then the story says that the people are they are trying to stop him. To stop him from doing investigation. Yet you read further and it says Yoko is doing the investigation. So if you are not doing the investigation, how is anybody able to stop you from doing the investigation? Because clearly from the story, the matter has been reported to Yoko. Yoko is doing the investigation. And then you say that you have been told not to do. You don't even have an investigation. I want us to discuss
the senior high school, but let me put this question to Honorable. These persons the story is talking about, former colleagues, personal friends, chiefs, and men of God.
It won't divert their attention.
The special prosecutor from going ahead.
You see, I get. Let me put on record that nobody is diverting any attention.
That's the agenda. That's the agenda.
Let me correct you.
And Mary is making
nobody is doing anything like that. First of all,
so people are talking to you, we should do
I began my narration by saying that this reportage is not coming from the MPP.
Oh, of course, it's the Daily Guide.
So let's put the Daily Guide.
Yes,
it's from the MPP.
It's not coming from the Guide.
It's on Daily Guide.
It's the MPP.
Now, you cannot. However strong you made the argument that he has the backing of the law.
Yes.
The effect of traditional leaders, the effect of your chief in your town. Please,
stop investigation.
You can sit in the studio. We can sit in this studio and say that, the laws give you all the mandate. But I'm saying that it has effects.
Should they stop him from going ahead?
It will not stop him, but I'm saying that it has effects. We are living in society. Mr. Amidu is not living on the globe, or what do you call it, in the moon or on another planet. He is living on this planet with us.
And he has already told the people of Ghana
that
no one can interfere with his work.
If you read the story, he says several things.
If there is a cause to worry, I am saying that, and he says he has reported the matter. I don't know the circumstances under which
in the story, he himself says that he recalled what he said at the vetting and said that he would not tolerate any interference or obstruction.
That notwithstanding.
So, other than from the courts of law.
He has told us already
that he won't listen to taking feed for him.
So what is that? What is news about it?
The circumstance under which led this story out. Probably, a reporter went to have a conversation with him, and in the course of, by the way, it came out. So, I am saying that we should not underrate.
It's a letter that has been leaked.
We should not underrate
the story
effects
says.
or traditional leaders or important
as part
people
of the communication
on him. That is the society we find ourselves.
Okay.
It is the society we find ourselves.
Okay, let's
ask him. Ask
Unfortunately, we cannot discuss it.
Ask my colleague here.
You
ask my colleague here. If they are wrongdoing in his constituency, and his traditionally chiefs come to him to talk to him or make appeals to him, whether he will turn a blind eye to them and say that, well, the Lord mandates me, or the Lord do not mandate me, and therefore go away. I don't care.
You see,
it has a certain effect. Take it or leave it.
He's put a very key question.
It has a certain effect.
The law and then these persons.
See, that is why they didn't appoint me as special prosecutor. There was a reason why they chose Martin Amidu. One of the reasons why they chose Martin Amidu was because he had convinced all of us that no one can influence him. So, if people are attempting to influence him, it is not news. Why we chose him is that we believe no one can influence him. So he should go ahead and do the job that the people are influencing him not to do. And then bring us the results.
He's human.
As for the influence, we know that people attempt to influence others.
But
we all were told that as for Martin Amidu, nobody can influence him.
He himself said it.
So why is he telling us to do what?
Right.
Is
he not human?
Why?
So what should we do? Now that he's told that, what should we do?
Investigation should.
Right. But
how can we as citizens help him?
Well, as citizens,
it's just to divert attention from America. It's just to divert attention from America.
And then he goes again.
That is the agenda.
You brought Mary. You brought Mary. And we are trying to sanitize it. And
good
everything we can do is to encourage
to solve doom. So we brought it to solve doom.
What we can do is to urge Mr. Martin on, to encourage him on, not to listen to these, and also appeal to these traditional leaders that they should allow the law to take it.
I'm grateful. Alaji Suini we have run out of time. Member of Parliament for Tamale North, Honorable Frank Anodompre is MP for Nswim Aduajiri. Gentlemen, grateful for your time with us. Stay right here. Sports is up next.